Hello and welcome to episode 2? Yeah, I was gonna say 3. Episode 2 of Streaming Tutorial. I think I named the series. Today we're gonna be going over overlays. Now, overlays can take on two different forms. They can take on directly going over a full screen version of your game, or they can be a wraparound, so to speak, of your game. So today I'm just going to go over a couple of the ways that I do my own overlays and go through the process with you guys. So this is probably going to be a longer video. I'm guessing like 20 to 30 minutes-ish. I could be wrong. I haven't actually done it yet or done any takes of it yet. But this will go over how I do my overlays, maybe give you guys some ideas about how to do it. I do everything in Photoshop. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, I don't have Photoshop. Well, there are ways to acquire Photoshop that I'm not going to go into, but one Google search or two Google searches, and I'm sure you can figure out a way to get Photoshop on your own with or without paying for it. So we're just going to leave it. We're just going to leave it to that. So the first thing I do is I always try to get a good 1920 by 1080 canvas. Now, the reason why I do this is because I stream in 1920 by 1080, and that is how big my overlay needs to be. The second reason why this is good is because this gives you a direct ratio when dealing with your video. So, for instance, if you have a video capture device. Now, I know that sounds a little weird to say, but a video capture device basically means a webcam. If you have a webcam and you're streaming your webcam to OBS in like 1280 by 720 or 1920 by 1080 or whatever, you will have a ratio. And that ratio, if you're using a image that's 1920 by 1080, will be the same if you hold Shift while in Photoshop and drag it. So the reason why this helps is, let's say I'm going to do a bar, or I'm going to do bar overlays, which stands for basically, I'm going to have like my video in one spot, and I'm going to have like bars separating different parts of all of the stuff I want to have on stream. Then I can like scale this down to however big I need to be, and then I can put the bars around it so that when I actually start playing the game and I scale it in OBS, I know that it will keep the proper proportions and it will fit inside of those bars. So, a couple things we're going to do first is, I know if you guys are just watching this tutorial through, you might actually not know about overlaying browser elements onto OBS. Okay, so what that basically means is OBS has these elements where you can input a URL and it will hook into a thing that changes based on stuff that happens on your stream. So a good, for instance of this, would be a chat, right? So you know you have like, you want to hook in a chat into stream. You need to figure out what you want to have on your stream before you start doing your overlays. So like get a notepad or something like that and be like, okay, I want or you can just directly do it in Photoshop. So for instance, like place the file. Like I want my webcam. I want a chat. I want an event list, which, you know, for when someone follows, it'll do a little follower pop up. Or maybe you don't want an event list, so we'll just do a little asterisk. But you want to have a little thing pop up on screen, but like, you know, X user followed, which would be an alert box. So you know you want to have an alert box. You know, what else do you want to have? Let's see, what do I have on mine? Let's see, I have an alert box. I have donations, stuff like that. So if you're just starting out, you don't really need the donation ticker if you're not getting a lot of donations, or if you don't even have a donation button on. You don't really need that. The event list, I don't want to be that guy, but the event list only comes in a vertical fashion. I have a horizontal event list, but it's something I custom made personally for my stream and for others, like 2 other people who are pretty well-known streamers. I'm not going to drop any names or anything like that, but I have a horizontal event list that I use that better works with 16 by 9 games but the event lists you guys are probably going to be using are probably going to be the vertical ones. So let's assume that you're just starting out as a streamer, and I'm looking at my webcam like I'm actually fucking streaming here. This is hilarious. Let's assume that you've just started out streaming, so you don't have a webcam, and you just want to have your chat, an event list, and an alert box, and maybe like a donation ticker. We'll put that down there. Donation tickers. Donation ticker. All right, so we got a couple things that we know we want to have. Awesome. Now, where do we put them? In my experience, I always try to put chat on the side of Twitch that is closest to chat. That's just something I do personally. You guys don't have to do that, but that's just something I do. So, if we were dealing with... I'm going to move this now. If we were dealing with adding a chat, I would put it underneath my little event list. So we can assume that the event list is going to be a square of some sort. So let's take this. Just pre-planning out where I might want to put some stuff. Also, oops. Also, you can do other things as well. You can do like little text, like if you want to do something specific, like for your stream, let's say you want information on the screen, you can always put those in little boxes too. So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and keep it here. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to do a little selection tool. So we're going to start adding our bars. We're going to do that on a separate layer. So we're going to do a new layer. Oops. Cancel. Going to do new layer. Name this bars. Okay, so this is going to be our bar layer. So now we can actually start adding our bars. So I'm just going to zoom in by holding Alt and using my scroll wheel. We're going to get in really nice and close here, and we're going to figure out our width basically for our bars. And I'm going to go, all right, well, I want it to be like, sometimes I'll do 5 pixels and sometimes I'll do 10. So we'll just do 10 for the sake of visibility. There we go. All right, so we're at 10. What we're going to do is we're going to do it to here. Alrighty. And we're just going to, for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to fill in this little selection with, I don't know, like green. Alrighty. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go down to here. So now that we know the selection ends right where that ends. Alrighty, and we're going to select from here, and we're going to go 10 out. Go, and we're just going to fill this in now too. Alrighty, and we're just going to go here, and then we're just going to go all the way up. So just hold shift and it'll shoot you straight to the top. Alrighty, and we're going to fill that in as well. So now that we have our bars inside, or we have the little, this is going to be our video. So it's going to be our game, and we now have that inside of our 2 bars here. We need to start figuring out, like, okay, so where's our chat going to go? Well, for me, what I tend to do is I usually tend to take chat and put it to just to the side of overlay. Now, obviously, because this is just an overlay I'm whipping up, not going to be the best. Okay, so that's actually on the wrong pixel. Almost there, almost there, almost there. Okay, there we go. Ready? So I'm just going to fill this in. Yep. Alrighty, so this is going to be where our chat is going to be. So there's a couple of different things I can do now. Well, I can either put the alert box with the little, sorry, not the alert box, the event list that keeps track of all the stuff that happens. I can put it up here, above the chat, or I can do like a smaller version and like do it over here below the chat. So that's up to you. I'm gonna say, for the sake of filling up the section down here, I'm just gonna leave all of this room here for people talking, chat. Then we're gonna take this, and I'm gonna cut this into a third. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and find the middle. So 1920 by 1080. So we are looking at 1080. Oh no, 1920. So 980, I think. Oh, that's 1060. Hang on. Sometimes Photoshop will give you like it will snap to the exact middle point. But that being said, I'm not entirely sure, and I don't feel like doing this in my head, so I'm just gonna. The actual middle point is 960. Okay. There it goes. It snaps in the middle. So I know that this is now the dead center of the overlay. Well, I want this into a third. So we're going to actually do 1920 divided by 3. 640. So we're going to do, now that we know 1920 divided by 3, so intervals of 3 is going to be 640. We're actually just going to do 1920 minus 640. So 1280. Wow. And see, it all ties together. So 1280 is going to be the exact third. I hate this sometimes. There we go. That's 1280. So now that I know this is going to be an exact third of the screen, and then we'll have 640. There we go. And that's another third, and we know that this part here without this blue line is another third section. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually, you're going to want to select 10 center. So what we're going to do is so the problem with doing 10 is we'll have, I think we'll have 5 on one side and 5 on the other side. So let me hold Alt. Yep, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Okay, so hold Control or hold Alt while making your selection, and this will automatically make it so that everything on the other side is the same. So I'm going to do 10 here. Okay, and then we're just going to zoom in, hold Shift to do an additional selection. Then we're just going to go straight down. There we go. That'll be our third. Going to go ahead and dump some paint in. Wonderful, wonderful. Now it's up to you whether or not you want to do the bottom part or not. Me personally, I'll just leave that empty. So that will be our little region, and we'll have the alert box popping up there, and we'll get to that in the next episode when we're actually overlaying all of this stuff. So, and then we can have like the donation ticker over here, big ol' section for that donation ticker, and then we'll have the chat right here. Righty. So, is there anything else we want to do? You know, this is kind of barren. We take this off and we send it as a PNG. There's not a lot of stuff going on in the background here. So, for me, what I would normally do is I want to fill in this area. So like, just select the bar region. So we know that so if we move this off, we know that this is perfect. So I'm going to take this actually. I'm going to reduce this. And let's see if we can get this to fit, kind. There we go. So we can move that like down here. There we go. So that's not bad. It doesn't seem like we're gonna be able to get it to be any smaller or fit in any better. Alrighty, so we're gonna go ahead and place that there. We're gonna right click here. We're gonna rasterize this so we can actually edit it. Go in here. Then we're gonna just start select the region inside. So we're gonna do this. Right click, select inverse, and then delete key. There we go. So now we have a little background for that little box. The little box right there. And then I'm gonna do some Google searches for more Breath of the Wild backgrounds. The important thing to know about doing these things is you have to get a background that's very horizontally active. So you need to have something very active in this one bar area, which sometimes can become difficult. I'm in the middle of looking for another background, so give me one moment. Like, okay, so this one's good. Also, I understand Breath of the Wild might be a little little scary for people. I will not put any spoiler backgrounds in here. All you'll see is like the beautiful landscape, and that's pretty much it. Save that. All right, here's another thing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna that's actually looking pretty good. I like that. Got opponent and link. Even make it smaller. Make it even smaller here. There we go. Alrighty. And then, adjust it to where you want it to be if you just want it to be the landscape up there, but I'm liking like being down in there. Alrighty, place the file. We're gonna rasterize this layer. I'm gonna go in and do the same thing that we did with the other one. And select inverse. Delete. I accidentally hit delete and end at the same time, but that's okay. Control D to deselect. There we go. Now we have a little icon for the back. So there's a couple of different things now that we can do. We can add some sort of like granular effects, or we can, add some iris effects or some other stuff to these images. So a couple of the things I like to do is and we'll do a new layer. I'm going to name this iris. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll actually get a gradient. Right click and get a gradient tool. Do this, and then I think it's this, but inverse. We're actually going to find out here in a second. Yes, it is. Okay. Undo that. We're going to go to here. We're going to... Should be away. There we go. So we're actually going to reverse this gradient. Okay. Alrighty, and now what we're going to do is we're going to select this little panel right over here. So I'm going to put the iris layer under the bars layer, and I'll actually show you why in a second. Select our gradient tool. So now that we have that selected, it will only apply the gradient in here. Holding shift will make it so you're either going directly vertical, directly horizontal, or directly 45. So we want to go directly horizontal. I don't actually want that. I only want the Breath of the Wild to be highlighted, so we're actually going to do something like... No. File an error with this. There we go. That's looking pretty good. You'll notice if I just select that layer, some of that iris has bled over onto the bar layer. We're going to take that, we're going to move the iris below the bars, but still on top of the previous layers. Yep. And then we can do the same thing over here, obviously on the iris layer with the thing properly selected. There's a couple of reasons why we want to do this. We don't have to do it because we can actually change the backgrounds of our like donation tickers and stuff. But for more visual pleasure, it's easier to make the backgrounds for the web elements completely see-through and have the actual images have a darker hue on them. So that way the web elements are easier to see. So I like the opponent thing, so I'm just going to do like that. There we go. And deselect. So we have that and that kind of more of a focus, and these parts on the sides are now less of a focus and allows the donation tickers and possibly the event list to be read easier now that they're on a more blackish background. And there's of course other things you can do. You can actually go to your bar layer, right? And we can do like a gradient overlay on our bars. And then, like, we can change this to, like, I don't know, what's Link's colors? He's got, like, forest green, and we can do Hyrulean shield colors. Second. So, like, a gold and a blue. Do that. Let's change our gradient to a goldenish color. And, change our topmost gradient to like a blue color. More of a deeper blue. Okay. Now we have like, you can do a gradient. You can make it, go to the side instead. You can make it go, I know this is actually an ugly ass gradient. But you can make it go inverse. You can reverse it that way as well. You can do more choppy. So there's just a whole bunch of different things you can do. It actually did not let me change the color. Ah, that's right. something like that. So yeah, you can mess around with gradients and change the bars and stuff like that. You can also do something really cool. Let's do this. Let's do this one, and we'll inverse it. Yep. Do that like that. You can also get some texturing on there. So let's say we can either do a mask or like, what can I do for Legend of Zelda? Yeah, I don't think I can really do anything for putting a mask on it. And basically what a mask means is you can actually add like a PNG, like a see-through image, and then only have the see-through image show up on the bars, so it adds like an effect to it. We can also go here, we can, or double click on it, and that'll bring up this. So then we can do like contours and bezels and that sort of stuff. We can also do like outer glows. So for instance, if we wanted to do, you do like a bezelment, and that'll make it kind of pop. You can change the contour of the bezelment to make it look like different things. Do something like that. We can do something like that. We can do just a straight up one. Inverted dip. Yeah. There's a bunch of different things you can do with this. So let's say we just want to make it like that. Okay. We can increase or decrease the range. And then we can also do some cool stuff. So this next part really depends on what game you're doing it and whether or not this glowing theme would work. So if you want to do like an outer glow, like first thing that popped into my head was the fairies that give you health. I don't know. So then we can do like an outer glow here and kind of get it to be a little bit softer, but still show up. Yeah. Obviously, this outer glow doesn't work very well, so we're not going to use it. We can also do a drop shadow to make it seem like it's actually, you know, casting a shadow onto stuff. And yeah, so long story short, there's a bunch of different things you can do with the overlay here, just adding like your own personal touch. The important thing to note is if you want to have these drop shadows on the bars, you need to keep this area and this area empty, or this checkerboard pattern. So that way when you put your chat or you put other things on top of it, or technically underneath it, you want to put things like chat underneath it. So that way this drop shadow is casted on top of your chat elements. So let's just assume that this is going to be our quote-unquote finished product. Thank you guys for watching. I understand this video was a little bit long, but it's kind of getting into how to handle your overlays and how to tackle your overlays based on what you want to have on your screen. The next episode, we're going to actually go into getting all of these elements set up, getting all the stream hook-ins and all that sort of stuff all hooked up for your now new stream. I will see you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching.